There it goes. Alright, Muayguns and Pilfered Funds. This is about all of the firearms I have owned and, of course, their ultimate fates. Just so y'all know how dangerous I am. How dangerous it is to put firearms in the hands of a mentally ill person. So you guys, your attempts to stupidity in your crimes is what's making it unsafe. And you're going to learn why. Alright, so there's a lot of people that offered to help me. And ultimately, in the end, they did not. Now, there's a lot of stuff that they did. But no matter what they did, if they didn't come forward about it, I was going to continue to be abused as if I had hallucinated it. From Joanna Taylor Smith, who claimed to love me, to Tabitha Michelle Cook, who loved me, to my little sister, who claimed to love me. I mean, you're going to see an established pattern here. Natalie Bollinger claimed to love me. Alicia Bollinger claimed to love me. Teresa Orne claimed to love me. A lot of people claimed to love me. Claimed they would come forward, claimed they would speak up, claimed they would take a look, and in the end, they didn't. There's also the fact that I went to those people because they promised to help how I needed. I had the funds for what? I mean, I had to go to Chapel, Nebraska, where I was only being threatened and having things thrown at me. I mean, the assaults in Colorado were a lot fucking worse. Okay, they were... Chapel, Nebraska, those guys are fucking toadstools. These guys are the biggest bunch of fucking redneck goddamn tools you ever met in your whole fucking life. I mean, they're dumber than a fucking stump. They're born and bred that way. They try to live up to the dummy fucking standard. They try to live up to the Hollywood stereotype of fucking stupid. And racist. Racism is a very big part of that society. Yes, I've been beaten up in Chapel, Nebraska for being gay. Yes, I've been beaten up in Chapel, Nebraska for sticking up for gay people. Yes, I've been in fights in my lifetime. When somebody decides to beat me up, they can get away with it by claiming I'm mentally ill, so automatically it's my fault. Now let's go through my gun collection. Most of them were gifts. Alright, I suppose I should start with my 22 Vest pistol, and that was a gift for my 21st birthday. What happened with that 22 Browning Vest pistol? Well, it got stolen while I lived with Chris Stegeman in Lodgepole, Nebraska. We lived at Dennis and Brenda Dickinson's rental property, and you guys have heard Dennis and Brenda Dickinson a lot. That's also where some of my guns went. Alright, so a lot of people in my stories, we've been friends for fucking ever, and they have given me so many firearms. I just... fucking gun, first of all. Like, this is the biggest... got a gun. I'm like, what am I going to do with it? Well, it's a machine. I could take it apart and I could put it back together. There's accessories. I suppose I could get accessories. Yeah. Alright, well, if I get it, I gotta find someone who likes to shoot to go out shooting with me. And of course, you know, there's no shortage of people that like to go shooting. I've been shooting with Brandon Jepson, Brandon Ratner, Jason Jepson. I mean, the works. I've been out shooting with everybody. Jeff Baldridge. I've been out shooting with Big Jason. I never got to go out shooting with Dana, and I'm pretty sure with the charges that were against him, he's never going to be allowed to own a firearm again. But at one point in time, he had a Class 2 license, which means he could actually manufacture. Good person to know. I mean, here's a teacher who unfortunately didn't know how to keep his construction upbringing out of the educational system. Yeah, you don't fucking repeat shit that Sean Schwartz learned in the fucking system. You don't fucking repeat that shit to children, right? Can we all agree on that? I mean, I'm not blaming myself for what he said, for surely, but literally what I was informed that he was charged with and why. It's the fact that he had typed such a thing to somebody who was underage. Now, this is something that when you're on the construction site, you're pretty foul mouthed, and sometimes it becomes a competition to see who's the most foul mouthed, depending on where you're at. When me and Dana and Rory and Sean and Brent are all out there and we're digging through the fucking log pile trying to find something that somebody dropped. That was a fun day, by the way. We got almost halfway through that log pile before we found what the fuck we were looking for, and I don't even remember what it is. So, my 22 Vest pistol, it was a Browning, and it was purchased at Cabela's. It was for my 21st birthday. I didn't get it until after my birthday, of course, and that was stolen. It was never registered. So then the next gun that I had was let's see, that would be the SKS. I purchased for Christopher Stegeman an AK-47 at Cabela's. Um, Obviously, it was for him, so I just gave him the money and he bought it. Right? That's the way you should do it. Don't ever gift somebody a gun. There's no guarantee that they'll register it, or that they'll even know how, or that they even want the thing. Neither here nor there. The 22 Vest pistol is useful. Alright, so then when I was, when I was 22, I think, or 23, I bought a Colt Confederate black powder pistol. Unfortunately, even though it did have a rifle bore, it comes with the ball shot. It's round. It's crap. And me and Chris were literally pointing that thing at a fence post. I mean, this is a wooden fence post. It's a good 4 inches, 5 inches across, and we're point blank at it, and it's missing. I mean, we're within 5 feet of this fucking thing. We're in danger range from splinters if we do hit it, and we're missing it. That Colt Confederate pistol was also stolen from that place that Dennis and Brenda Dickinson had in Lodgepole. While Chris was living there, I'd already. Alright, so the fate of the SKS, that was a gift from Jason Jeffson, Big Jason. And it was a 7.62 by 39 millimeter ammunition, same thing as the AK-47 had. So, of course, me and Chris could shoot the same ammunition, and he worked at Cabela's at the time. So we went through about, let's say, between 500 and 2,000 rounds of ammunition a month going out shooting. Pretty decent amount. So we're both pretty proficient at breaking down and cleaning Russian rifles. He could probably do it with his eyes closed. He traded that AK-47 for some methamphetamines. I've got the recording. It's on it's not on this tablet. It's on my Apple tablet. He also admits to when he was running methamphetamines, and that's recorded too. There's also his fucking crazy rants about Thanos that happened often, and you should ask him about Thanos. It's some pretty crazy shit. Alright, so Chris Stegman also is the one who gave me the axe that I was using, the one that I walked through town with, that Robert Warnick wanted to pretend like I would harm somebody with, that it was a weapon that I was like swinging at people or some crazy shit like that. You gotta be out your fucking mind. No, I took that between Dallas's, where I used it for working, and Floyd Stegeman's, where I used it for working. I got it from Floyd Stegeman's son. It's a fucking tool. You know what else is a tool? All of you guys who believe what the fuck you're told without looking at the fucking evidence or asking. Alright, so we can get into my financial situation a little bit. Most of the people who screwed me over financially didn't do so intentionally. They didn't. They had the best of intentions to begin with. For most of them, it was either the abuse that they're going through, or their drug addictions resulting in them being abusive, or somebody else in the household who is just highly abusive. At Tabby's, there's standard family arguments. We all know what those are. Those don't happen fucking for hours and hours every day, though. Shannon Alvarado's, it was pretty much hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours every night. With Joshua Eichelberger at Tabby's, that was hours and hours and hours. Every fucking waking moment. He's a happy, angry drunk. He's kind of pleasant when he's first getting into his feels and first getting into his grooves, and then he's a fucking asshole. And then he gets feeling into his really, really grooves and can barely speak, but still wants your attention. And that's incredibly difficult for anyone to deal with, especially somebody like me. Like at the point where you need help that badly. And you're paying people, you're paying for their habits, you're paying for their pot, you're paying for their alcohol. Tabby, she has to worry about coming forward. Like just like the situation with Candace Bondurant. She had cops coming to her fucking work. She worked at a hospital. They came to her work. They harassed her while she was taking her kids to school. She was threatened with getting thrown out into the snow in sub-zero temperatures, and it was below zero. It was either throw Sean Schwartz out in below zero temperatures, or her and her kids and Sean Schwartz get thrown out into sub-zero temperatures. I mean, this is a no-brainer here. I mean, that severely limits my resources. My phone is hot, so what I'm doing right now is preparing some of these popsicles to lay it on top of so that it doesn't overheat. And then there's not very much charge on it, so I'm gonna unplug it from the charger that I had it on when my car was started. I'm gonna plug it into this other one. So I do apologize for any inconvenience this may cause you, but the scenery don't fucking matter. It's the story that does. Anyway, at Tabby's, I paid rent, but she can't have anybody over there. She gets government subsidized money, so she would get in trouble if she spoke up. And this is how they screw people over. You want to do the right thing. You want to help people, but then you have all this shit that you have to worry that you're going to get into a shit ton of trouble for helping somebody. And that is so fucked up. And all these folks telling me those things, and they got a lot of experience with the police too, most of them. So I want you to keep that in mind too. I mean, none of us are fucking saints, right? Well, these are street people. Many of them are. Some of them are pretending street people. I mean, when I first met Miss Peaches, she was underage. She was hanging out on Pearl Street, and she was selling pot. Not smart. Anyway, so the money that I gave Tabby, she can't admit to. And, she has explained this to me. She can't admit that I paid her money for rent because she was already getting government subsidized rent. And she can't admit that Joshua Eichelberger was there because there was a protection order against him. He wasn't supposed to be anywhere near those fucking kids. Just like Ted Bollinger wasn't supposed to be near those fucking kids. Alright, so my SKS, Monte Carlo stock. Nice. I mean, it came with an original. It was a, hold on a second, a Romanian SKS, and it had a folding bayonet on the end of it. Had the cleaning kit and the buttstock, and it had all that, all the cool stuff, all the trim and bells and whistles for a military rifle. And then, of course, there's the Marnie Carlo stock that I put on it. It was compressed fiber, and it was like, compressed fiber in plastic. And I had to do that myself. And that Monte Carlo, I got it from Jason Jepson, of course. And after all the modifications that I did to it, including taking off the internal box magazine and then replacing that with a 30 round extended mag, going out there just plinking. And of course, there's the sand pits out there, and that's where everybody went out shooting, either there or Tickle Hill, which after my friend Mike Hudson got blasted in the head out there, the Beardsleys were there. Amy Cleena Kingery, aka Amy Spencer. She's in a lot of my stories. She was there. She blamed herself for Mike Hudson getting shot in the head, even though it was one of the Beardsley boys what done it. I mean, it's Nebraska. You're never gonna be able to not find a fucking gun in Nebraska. You make a friend, they want to give you a gun for being their friend. You turn 21, people want to give you guns for turning 21. You fucking have a bad breakup, they're like, here's a fucking gun. It's fucking creepy. You say, hey, my little sister is missing, and apparently her and Riley got into a fight. I got people telling me that, she's gone, she's missing. Yes, my sister was the very first missing person I ever fucking traveled across state lines to find. And I was sent there with, of course, a 22 long rifle, which is probably still buried at the Colorado fucking Nebraska border. If somebody went and unburied it, you know how much use it would be to them? None. It's been buried for over a fucking decade. Go out there with a fucking metal detector. You might find it. You might not. I didn't want the goddamn thing. But of course, that's everybody's solution. They're like, hey man, fucking, here's a gun. Go shoot the son of a bitch. Well, no, fuck you. I have my own guns. If I was gonna do that, why would I fucking want your gun? you know? And I get the whole ghost rifle thing, but if I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna fucking own it. So of course, moving on, that SKS, I gave it back to Big J, Jason Jepson. I didn't fucking want it. This is, of course, when I talk about the Nebraska guns, Jason Jepson, that's a Nebraska gun. That was somebody in Nebraska that gave me one. When we talk about the Colorado guns, Donnie, he was a glass blower. He made, glass pipes. But unfortunately, he was also a tweaker, and he sucked more glass than he blew. So, of course, I didn't want to have nothing to do with him or anything to do with that fucking gun. And, like, he wasn't having any part of me saying no. And I'm like, dude, I'm never going to fucking bring it back. He's like, don't bring it back. I'm telling you not to. I'm like, what the fuck? No, dude, I don't fucking want it. The first chance that I got to fucking pull over and get rid of the goddamn thing, it was gone. I buried it at the border, and then I went and started looking for my sister in Nebraska. Took damn near 3 weeks to fucking find her. Thank goodness she was sort of in a safe location, but shit, that wasn't fucking cool. Anyway, so I guess that it was 22, and it was, I'm gonna say, like a knockoff Ruger, because I mean it had the little dinky fucking 22 clip. It was, you'd have had to see it. It was crap. Anyway, moving on. There was a British Enfield number 2 Mark IV. And I don't know how much you know about a 303 Enfield. That thing kicks like a fucking mule. And the model that I had was the mule of all mules. I mean, I fired a 50 cal, and that 50 cal, that was a fucking cakewalk by comparison, by a lot. I fired 12 gauge slugs that are nicer than that. That fucking gun hurt, and after getting it, I didn't fucking want it. That was a gift from a guy named Dennis Dickinson in Chapel, Nebraska. I didn't fucking want it. He said, well, after giving it to you, I've been thinking about it, and I don't really feel comfortable with, me buying a gun and it not being in my gun safe. And he likes his guns. He really does. And of course, this is a World War One and World War Two fucking rifle. It's a nice fucking bolt action. It just fucking hurts. But Dennis Dickinson is a big boy. He can fucking handle that recoil. I can't. Look at my arms. I'm a fucking twig. So he took that back, and to this day it sits in his gun safe and collects dust, and that's good. He said if there's ever a World War III that coming to him and he'll give it to me, well, there's no World War III going on. I don't fucking need it. I'm not going to go asking him for it or try to collect. It's Nebraska, like I said. Fucking people got fucking guns. Everybody's got fucking guns. So what happened to my 303? Dennis Dickinson's got it. Did I ever want it? Well, actually, I did until I shot the thing, and then I was like, no. I mean, I like the historical thing about it. It's got a similar action to a Mauser, believe it or not. They're actually both very similar firearms. But of course, me not wanting it, I got rid of it. And of course, Dennis, he was fine with that because he didn't want to get rid of it to begin with. I had been telling him what a good rifle it is since I got it, because I'm a history buff. I mean, I love history, and I'd been chatting it up and chatting it up and chatting it up, and he's like, yeah, maybe I really should have kept that, And he's right to do so, and absolutely, and he paid me for the gun. I mean, he literally paid me money for the gun that he'd given me as a gift. All right, so moving on to the next firearm. All right, so this one, I'd have to look back to find out exactly where I got it. I want to say Devin Frericks, but I can't promise that. And it was a 22 Marlin. Now, what happened with the 22 Marlin? I gave that to Amanda Payne's dad. His name is Tom Payne. He lives in Chapel, Nebraska. Apparently, he traded it to Cabela's and got a different gun. He got himself a Mossberg pump action. It's Nebraska. Everybody got fucking guns. It's fucking gun central. I mean, my grandpa was raping my mom while she was in high school in the 1970s, and he still had full auto firearms up the wazoo. He had almost 300 guns when he died. But he was an asshole, and he died of colon cancer. There's karma. All right, so on to the next one, right? All right. What else did I have? Well, I always had parts. Like whenever I assembled somebody's crap, I always made them fucking order the parts, and I'll put it in for you. I don't get why those people wouldn't just sit with me and learn how to do it themselves. But people, they're lazy. If they don't gotta learn nothing, they'd rather stay ignorant and stupid. But then in an emergency, they gotta go to somebody like me to fix that shit because they don't fucking know nothing. Why do I have to stop so often on the side of the road to help people change their tires? I really don't. Most people know how to change their tires, and I don't have to stop. If I'm nice enough to stop, you got lucky. Because I drove by. And I help you change a tire. If you got difficulties, if you're elderly, if you're infirmed, Hell, if you're a guy, I'll offer to give you a ride into town. If you're a woman, I'm sorry, I'm fucking too paranoid. I would rather just call somebody from here that'll keep us both safe, that'll guarantee that there is some sort of help. Now, of course, you get that woman that you pull over to help her change her tires. She doesn't know how to change her tire. And then she says, well, you can't call somebody. I've got pot. Well, fuck. Well, why are you telling me that? Well, I want to ride into town so I don't get busted with my pot. Like, there's a fucking field right there. Fucking toss it. Really? You want me to drive you into town so you can fucking... No, that's not gonna happen. You're fucking insane. Go stash it in a fucking bush. You know, there's reasons for not having guns. I move too much to have a gun. I don't see as in any of the situations that I've been in where a gun would have done me any good. Any of them. I mean, look, I'm still breathing. I don't go running around pointing guns at people. I don't go running around threatening people with guns. So, I mean, really, what's the problem here, bud? No, I don't want the guns. I didn't want them. I like working on them. I really, really like working on them. I like working on anything. I really do. I just love working with my hands. I like building shit. And of course, this video is going to die because my dumb ass was being lazy and did not grab the external battery to plug into it. And now, let's hope I get this fucker plugged in before it dies. Oh, damn it. I had it plugged in underneath the pile of crap over there so that it cooled down as well. It's hot here. Alright, so my next firearm. Let's see, what did I have after that? Well, really nothing. I mean, when people invited me out shooting, I was like, yeah, I'll love to go out shooting. I love shooting. Well, not so much shooting, but when you go out shooting with people who like shooting, the environment and the atmosphere is pretty laid back. It's pretty relaxed, but it is professional, and there's no drinking. You have any idea how rare it is to be able to interact with a group of people that aren't drinking? Most of the Nebraskans I know are alcoholics, and most of them own guns. And a lot of them have been in trouble for taking their guns out on their porch and shooting it up in the air or shooting at their neighbor's house. Hell, Polly Olson, her ex-son-in-law, her daughter, who is the city clerk, Polly is the county clerk, her daughter is the city clerk. And her daughter, while she was pregnant with one of her kids, little Jason Jepson was fucking shooting at her. She was literally, from what I heard, this don't mean that it was exactly like this. The story that I heard is that she was barefoot and pregnant and running outside to try to get away from him. Fucking, holy hell. What the hell, Jason? Of course, his meth addiction had a lot to do with that. Now, there's a lot of situations where if I'd have been busted with a gun, I'd be in fucking prison. There's a lot of situations where if I was traveling with a gun, I'm having to do so across state lines. That's fucking added fucking bullshit. I mean, there's a lot going on there. And it's complicated. Extremely complicated. Now, of course, then there's the folks in Chapel, Nebraska. You know, even after Natalie was killed, people didn't have any problems putting a gun in my hand. I mean, me and Brandon Ratner went shooting a fucking shit ton. Wendell McPhee insisted I go out shooting his 22 because he had the barrel relined, and this is a nice smooth action 22 cricket. I mean, it's nice. These are good guns. They just need a little bit of work. One of them he's got, it's I was gonna say Norinco, but I know that ain't it. He's got a Winchester too. I mean, these are. I wish I could have worked on all of them. And that's the honest truth. The guns that Wendell McPhee got are, that's right up my alley. They're made with safety in mind. I mean, the 22 Cricket was literally invented so that you could teach people safe practice with a gun. I mean, you got to go through a lot of extra steps and you only get one shot. You make sure you do everything right because it's going to take you a whole minute to get the next shot off. It takes longer to load, reload, and fire a 22 Cricket than it does an old fucking musket breech loader, you know? I mean, it's a nice piece of equipment, and the way that they do it, the way that they're able to get the toggles to mesh perfectly so it'll actually do it that way is just, it's fun. But at that point, you're not thinking about what it's applied for. What you're thinking about is the ingenuity that it took to design and manufacture and make that, you know? How does it work? Same as the internal combustion engine, but I never really had anyone work with me with a internal combustion engine. Best I had was, all right, I'm going to guess what my way through this piece because this is the piece they pointed to and says it doesn't work. Like, let me show you right here. This right here is the piece that they pointed to and says it doesn't work. So, man, I keep forgetting the camera's on this side. When I zoom in on stuff, I should go back through some of my videos and see if there's ones where I didn't catch those bugs because when I flipped over the camera, you know, because the camera on the front is over on the left-hand side. You flip it over and the camera's on the back or on the left-hand side. I'm not sure why it doesn't occur to me that it opposes when I flip it over. Probably because the cameras are still on the same side. Anyway, so I've gone out shooting a few Wendell McPhee's guns. Didn't have to gunsmith them. It wasn't necessary. It worked. He just wanted me to shoot it, which honestly is a big fucking bummer. But it works. It shoots true. It's a good gun. Of course, Sandy Fromm, she put a 6-shooter in my hand. It's either a 32 or a 38 revolver, and of course I held it by the holster. I don't want to mess about with that. Now, of course, with it in my hand, if there had been a rattlesnake that popped out, would I have used that thing to shoot the rattlesnake? Probably not. I mean, that forces me to get pretty close. I've never fired the thing before. I don't know exactly where it shoots. And if you shoot at a rattlesnake, that might make it strike. It's better to go get a fucking forked stick and pin it to the ground. Or just grab a shovel and chop its head off. Those are way quicker. And it's a rattlesnake. I'm not going to hesitate to chop the head off a rattlesnake. Those of you for the people for ethical treatment of animals, I get you. I understand. I do love the animals. I really do, including rattlesnakes. But around a house with dogs, no. If you got to choose between your kid and a rattlesnake, which one are you going to choose? Well, for some people, their dogs or their kids. Yeah, I'll chop the head off a rattlesnake to protect your kid. I'll chop the head off a rattlesnake to protect your dog. I'll chop the head off a rattlesnake to protect your cat. Of course, the problem is when there's a rattlesnake, your dog wants to jump in there and get the rattlesnake too. When you got a rifle, I mean, you're a lot more likely to fucking hit your dog with a rifle and seriously injure or kill your dog while you're trying to hit that snake. A snake is a small fucking target, and you're talking about something that you got to shoot in the head. And then, even then, it's still going to keep on moving. And I mean this literally. Its carcass is going to keep on moving for a good long while, and its head is still venomous even after you chop it off. It's creepy how long, if you chop a rattlesnake's head off at 10 o'clock in the morning and it's a hot day, that carcass of that rattlesnake is going to move until past sundown. It's fucking creepy. It's morbid creepy. There's a lot of situations where guns are absolutely necessary, but I don't encounter any of those. And because I have rules against killing people, if you're going to point a gun at me and make it between you and me, I'd please, please understand that I don't have a gun. It's going to be me. You are going to be the one to win that engagement 100% of the time. You will never, ever, ever have a situation where it's going to be you versus me and it's on equal terms. Not unless it's World War III and I got to go over to Uncle D's house and say, hey, Dennis, where's that 303? You still got 20 rounds of that crappy mock-up 303 federal ammunition? And then it's not fair. That is absolutely not a fair engagement because I've got a rifle. I make sure that I don't. I make sure that I don't. I don't want one. I don't want one. And it's not because of nefarious purposes. It's because what good is it going to serve me? It's more hassle than anything else. Now, there's guns that I was going to work on, guns that people complain they needed parts for, and of course, because a lot of Nebraskans are in the NRA, and of course, they get special rights to certain types of firearms, most of them are surplus. So we're looking at stuff like the M1 Garand or the M1 Carbine. So, of course, then, when you've got ambulance. Oh, no, that's a cop. Not used to them using that alarm, actually. Let's see, where was I? I don't know. Other than that, it's just working on other people's stuff, fixing their crap, making sure their shit works. Some idiot decides it's his first time going out hunting whatever it is he's hunting, and after he's done, he throws his shotgun in the dirt and gets grass all up in the action. But he's so excited, he takes the birds and he cleans them all up and he puts the shotgun in the corner and fucking, you get, what do you call them, converts. You get a city boy come out in the country. All he knows about guns is from watching movies like Boys in the Hood. So then he's got that shotgun. He wants to go out there and he wants to play with it. He wants to play with it. Oh my God, he wants to play with it. But then when he goes out and plays with it a while, and then he wants to go out and he wants to kill something with it like a real Nebraskan. So then he goes out and he kills something like a real Nebraskan. But then he's so excited about the excitement of killing something like a real Nebraskan, he puts his gun in the corner and forgets it fucking exists for a year. Then it comes hunting season and you got, somebody in town's like, hey man, I got a blind you can use. I'm going out hunting, you wanna go down into the South Draw or, out into the field up north of the sand pits? Well, yeah, hell yeah, I got a shotgun. I went hunting last year. I go get a license and all that. So, of course, they go do all the stuff they got to do that. And then, of course, it's almost time for fucking hunting season, and they're going to go out and practice shooting, and he realizes that he didn't clean his gun. And not only that, he was an idiot. He was so excited he killed something, he threw it in the dirt. Well, in the mud. The fall is not the best time to go hunting when you're going to throw something in the dirt. You're usually hunting in a field that has been already freshly plowed. It's, now it's been rained on or snowed on or, other inclement weather, but it's not crops that are growing there most of the time. So then this thing, it's sitting in there for a year. All the springs inside and the action and all that stuff, it's all rusted. I mean, rusted to the point that the springs have already fallen apart and corroded. And then they're expecting you to have this thing done and finished for them in 2 days. Like, man, hunting season starts in 2 days, man. Like, oh my God, dude. That was when I was all right, when I was living in the house north end of town, the one that used to belong to Sammy and Shelly Gatewood, when I was there, that was probably gun fucking central. That was when everybody went, wow, Sean is really good at fucking fixing shit. Wow, Sean is really good at fucking fixing shit. Part of that was because of Janet Roberts. She had a whole bunch of vacuum cleaners because she had a professional cleaning business, cleaning Cabela's. And, well, she'd throw them away. I'd pull them out of the garbage can. I'd fix whatever the hell's wrong with them, usually clogged with hair. And then, of course, when I fixed whatever's wrong with them, I'd go sell them back to her for $10 a pop. Well, that didn't exactly last long. And, of course, there was a while there that people were wanting me to make a business doing that. Like, that just takes too much fucking money. When I did finally buy gun lathes, you know what I bought them for? I bought those gun lathes so that I could make miniature-sized World War I radial airplane engines. The either the Oberursel UR2, the Oberursel UR1, or the one that I really wanted to do was the No Monosopop. You might want to look that up. It's a single valve. They're very, very, very cool. So I bought it so that I could actually make the fins and also do the center at the same time out of a solid block. And of course, I had started to gather all the stuff that I needed for casting and smelting and learning how to do that from that dude in Boulder. And I'm like, yeah, I'm learning how to do stuff. Got me a shop. But where did I get them gun lathes? Well, I bought them from Jason Jepson. There was a guy who wanted him to store them, and the guy had overextended the amount of time it was supposed to be there. And then he caught wind this guy was apparently dead. And I was like, well, shit, how much you want for them? He said, well, 75 a piece, and you can have them both. So I bought them both. And I also bought a boat from him for $50. Well, he wasn't real experienced with a skid loader. So what'd he do? He put a hole in the side of my boat. He also dropped one of those gun lathes and broke it. It was the good one too. Manufactured in Liverpool. It was nice. Vintage and all that shit. And now it's a cast iron piece, so it's going to be difficult to repair. And of course, that's out at David and Laura Nelson's inside of the boat on my boat trailer. They've had that fucking thing for years. It's horrible. Like, nobody should have to fucking hold my shit for that long. If they sold it, they're well within their rights to do so. I never had a place to put it. It's tough to do that when police are constantly fucking giving you shit. And they're fucking taking all your money for it. And then, of course, you've got friends that you're in a subservient position. You don't have a place to make none of this stuff, but your friends say that you can. And then something always comes up, an argument with the wife, or some dude who couldn't stop fucking beating on her and shit like that. You go, well, you know, when you beat on your wife, like, for example, when I had all this stuff for the boat molds, so I could roto-mold plastic bottles into kayaks and stuff, well, that guy, what did he do? He beat up his wife. He went to fucking jail. I think he eventually ended up in prison. I don't know. Her and I don't talk. Do you know why we don't talk? She hates me because he beat her up. Well, I didn't fucking know he was going to beat her up. What the hell? So then you get situations where you've got people that hate you. You didn't do nothing to them. All you were trying to do is the right thing. So then you've got like $2,000 worth of materials that are over at her house. She's not going to let you come get them. You're out all that money and all of the work that it took to make those molds. I don't want to make guns, but also, given these stories here, I mean, really, there. How are you going to stop it? You going to make every single gun illegal? No, there are always people who have the knowledge to manufacture guns. There are always underground guns. There are always people who are going to have the knowledge to do that. P.A. Ludi wrote a book about that. Unfortunately, he actually made the damn thing. Now, I spent a lot of money, so that I could travel to court over and over again for them to postpone it if somebody went with me, over and over and over again. And those people, some of them that went with me, which it didn't happen very often, and most of the time I had to pay them. People are broke. They got kids. They complain to me they don't have money for fucking gas. Yeah, you goddamn right I'm going to pay you money for gas so that we can actually go. I mean, Miss Peaches, she was telling me that she didn't have the money to help me because she didn't have any gas. I said, I'll give you money for gas. I gave her money for gas. She said, I can't help you tomorrow, though, because I don't have any money for gas. I said, well, here's money for gas. I gave her money for gas. I mean, I threw money at people for the things that they said that they needed in order to help me. And I did this time and again. There's situations, of course, like with Stephanie Mejia. You know, I spent that money to try to get her there so she could help me. And where did that money go? Down the toilet. Thank goodness she brought Juan Santana with her. With the things I needed her help with, she needed to be fucking sober for. And she also needed to be off of Ventus's dick. I got recordings, a lot of recordings of the situation. And of course, they want to be angry that I posted up. Well, I had to post up parts that showed I was telling the truth about the situation. So, of course, there's one of the recordings where, you know, Ventus, when I'm telling you that I was there and had gotten his parts touched and all that, yeah, that really happened. Now, when I first told that story, did I tell that story to give out all his personal information? No, I told that story because the help that I was there to get at that point in time, that's why I wasn't getting that help. It's not that I wasn't trying. Through all of this, it wasn't about them being horrible people. It's about this shit that does prevent me from getting anything accomplished. If somebody is there to help me and you're busy having sex with that person, they're not helping me. If I need that person to be sober and pay attention and you're getting that person fucked up on booze or mushrooms or fucking pot, like, they don't know what the fuck is going on, Ventus. Stephanie Mejia barely knew what the hell was going on nearly the entire time because you had her fucked up on drugs the whole time. How's that helping me? But of course, those drugs are legal. They are legal in Colorado. Alcohol is legal. We were in Denver. We were right on fucking Colfax. And of course, that's where I got to see Aubrey the Poet Anderson. I remember her from Boulder. We'll get into that story later. But, I mean, this is not a situation that is... It's not like they showed up all professional and sat down with me and made these calls with me and we sat down all professional. No, she couldn't stop and pay attention to what the fuck needed to be done because she was busy paying attention to Ventus. Just like with my sister, it was difficult to get her to pay any fucking attention to what I was saying or doing whatsoever because, of course, she was all over Ed's nuts. I probably shouldn't say it that way. That's mean and rude and inconsiderate. But it does really make it so that there's a severe lack of communication there, and it's not from my lack of trying. Now then, of course, we'll get to, what was it? I want to say it was October or so of 2020. Not for certain. Don't quote me on that. I'd have to go through my desktop to see. Actually, it might be in my laptop too. I don't know. I might have transferred it. We'll find out. All right. So there's the M1 carbine. That thing cannot be fired. It does not have a receiver. That's the part that you need a federal firearms license for. Well, I don't want a gun at all. But of course, a lot of people have those. A lot of people have asked me, and I tell them, well, I don't know how to work on it. I don't have any parts for it. That's not my gig. You like how yeah, I've been practicing that. One moment. I'm going to have to end this video. Reason for that is because the phone is again getting too fucking hot. Y'all stay out of trouble or don't get caught, and remember, you are your brother's keeper.